to Astrology Victoria with
Dulcie and
Tatiana, here to bring you more awesome content. And this time, because we're doing our archetype series, we came from Leo and we're moving into
Virgo today.
Virgo. Virgo.
So very excited.
Yeah. So Dulcie, Virgo, sorry. We're moving into Virgo. Well, my Sag rising can't really.
A little bit both.
Well, anyway, so Dulcie, let's go into the basics of the Virgo, like element, modality, so tell us what are the basics.
Sounds good. I'm just going to apologize in advance. I am puppy sitting.
If you're a pet lover, know that a lot of the Virgo energy goes into the love of pets and the care. Why? Because a pet needs everyday care. You cannot just leave it without watering it. You know what I mean.
Water your pets, everybody.
Water your pets every day. That's a Virgo thing. Every day. Okay, so back to
the basics of Virgo. So we have the duality, which is feminine. It is a feminine sign. And the element is earth. The quality is mutable. And the ruler is Mercury.
Okay, so that's a lot of stuff there. So earth.
Earth.
Why earth?
Very practical sign.
Grounded, yes. And earth in this case, because we come from, we have the polarity of Virgo being Pisces and this watery element, right? Completely dissolved. Virgo, grounds things, makes them tangible, actually grounds and creates things that can exist in matter, literally. That's part of the Virgo function, is to be in matter, like bring spirit into matter. So that's what's the polarity of the Piscean archetype. So very grounded for sure.
Yeah.
Then we have it's a mutable sign.
Mm-hmm.
And my take on the mutability, and that's also being me, such a Virgo person, when you want to improve something, because we will talk about the function of Virgo being the improver, of course, the mutable energy helps to see what can evolve. So in order to improve things, you need to be able to change them. So and that's like my take on it, is really this mutability needs that evolution of things so it can be improved. So that's about like the mutability of the sign. Adaptable, changeable. In my own home, I have few things, but everything serves a purpose. And I can fold a thing and turn it into something else, and it has like 3 different purposes, the same thing. It needs to be adaptable. So in that sense, I think in order to have this improvement, you have this mutability. What else, Dulcie? And Mercury.
Yeah.
What can you say about Mercury?
Yeah. So Mercury is a planet that is all about making connections between things, or bringing information from one source to another, and being discriminating. So finding differences and then putting them all together and putting them into the proper categories. So which Virgo is very much about.
The Mercury function of the mind. So Gemini, the function of Mercury in Gemini is to name things. So it's like having your desktop full of files. And Virgo, the function of Mercury in Virgo is to take all those files and put them where they belong. Make the little folders, put the name, make sure it could be found. So it's highly organizational. So that's the function of that Mercury. That mind is to categorize and make sure that what we learned and what we observed has a meaning, a reason, and a reason to be, a function that is practical for making things work in life as a whole. Otherwise, it's just information. So that's the Mercury function in Virgo. And Virgo coming from, again, we're coming from like a masculine sign, Leo. We come from Leo, the Leo I am, right? And I am expressive in the world. I'm expressing my energy. It's all about me. And we're coming into the Virgo, which is taking this ego nature and back into I am, but I am for whom? For what? To serve what? Because the whole first 6 signs of the zodiac that correspond to the first 6 houses as well, the first part of the pie, is really about self-discovery. The soul is discovering itself, what it needs, how it thinks, who it is. Once we're coming into Virgo, the ego is almost dissolving in Virgo and becoming humble, because after Virgo will come Libra, and then once we cross that line, we go into the other. There's no longer just me. There's the other and everything else. So the Virgo function is to dissolve that ego into service. And this is where we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of the Virgo archetype. So I will share the image I created. And again, like I say, because I created these archetypes, it's a little bit biased of my perception. And well, I hope you like it anyway. So, all right, would you like to say something about what you see, and then I'll elaborate more on that?
Sounds good. Okay, so my first point that I noticed was the toolbox. So getting to work and using the appropriate tool for the specific task, just to get the job done. And seeing those triangles leading up to the dove. So your average person might see kind of the broader picture. So you can see the colors up in the sky, and you might see the broader picture of just, the wind and the colors around the bird. But the Virgo would be able to discriminate the particular pattern that makes up this wind, or that makes up this whatever it is in the world, to be able to recognize the distinct pattern and the structure of things in the world. And the dove representing purity and maybe peace as well, but the purity of Virgo. And the harvested food. So she has been out working and harvesting all the food and doing her due diligence to feed herself and her family.
I like that. Well, and going on that, because Virgo is in service. So let's start with the very basics. Virgo is the servant, because it needs to serve a purpose, like we said. And it is the improver, the self-improvement, or the improvement of systems, or whatever it is that we are trying to improve and make perfect. It's the self-improvement, it's the service to others, and it's also the purification process. It's the purification process of something that is not precisely perfect. And this imperfection comes basically from just being human and striving to go back to the perfection of source energy, of God, or whatever we want to call it. So the Virgo will always strive to purify everything. The saying, cleanliness is next to godliness. It's such a Virgo thing, because it's this striving. However, if you don't shower every day, what happens to you, Dulcie? Tell me, if you wouldn't shower for a month. Exactly.
I would not be the most nice smelling person in the universe, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the nature of things. Things just change, decay, and in this third dimensional reality embodied in this body and with what we have, things fall apart, things crumble. They need upkeep, maintenance, and that is a daily task. This is why Virgo is the churning, working every day. It needs that work. It needs the upkeep. If you want something clean, you need to clean it. It won't clean itself up. I don't think so. You'll need a robot or something. But even so, it's like this purification process needs actual grounded action. It's not just, I think of cleaning some and it got done. Not really, not in this third dimensional existence. In the other realms, maybe, not here. Can't do that. It won't happen on its own. So that's why arm yourself with the brush and clean it. So that's one thing, is that purification process. And like I said, or Dulcie very well said, we can take all this information and put it in a structured, practical manner, straight to how is best done. Virgos are amazing at improving any system. If you have a mess, a pile of mess, call a Virgo. They'll go, oh my God, mess. And they'll go color coded and perfect.
Yes, those TV shows where they come in and organize your house or your closet and put pretty labels on everything. That's very Virgo.
That's for sure a Virgo who did that.
Yeah.
That's the function of it, is to have that efficiency. If you can't find stuff, then you're wasting time. It's not efficient. Virgo is the most efficient sign. So ask Virgo to organize something, to find the best way to do something. And that's where some problems could come in when we discuss the higher and lower octaves of Virgo. Mm-hmm. It's like Virgo can see really everything that doesn't work. It'll go like, that's not efficient. This is the way it should be done. And you know what? Trust the Virgos. They really know better. I know, it's true. It could.
Speaking as a Virgo.
But that's the thing. The thing is how to do that, but in a humble way. So also Virgo is the humble servant, meaning, yes, you'll be there organizing and never taking credit for anything. Why? Because the more invisible Virgo is, the more visible the work is. All the workers we see out there, health workers, people that work in, accountants, like doing all the organizing of stuff. It's not the person who's out there like shining. It's the one that's doing all the practical work so that the things that need to be seen are seen. And that's kind of sucky. Well, not really. Says me with my Leo Jupiter. Well, no, because really it's about being humble. It's, again, now the other part of it is the, like we said, the harvest. The harvest is, if you don't go and do the work, you won't harvest anything, you won't eat. Squirrels rule Virgo. Are ruled by Virgo. Squirrels are the totem animal, Virgo, and guess what? It's my totem animal. It's funny because I've always loved squirrels so much. I thought they were the best animal in the world. Yeah, go figure. They're beautiful rodents, and now I understand why. And I it's just connected to my energy. And what is the squirrel? During the summer, it procreates, whatever, then the nuts are ready, and the fall, it will be like getting the nuts and working here and there and gathering all the nuts. If the squirrel doesn't gather the nuts, it doesn't eat. So it dies, right? So it's that archetype of that work. They need to also keep busy. Virgos need activity. If you're not busy doing something that serves a purpose, it's just like frustrating for a Virgo. You need to be of service. That's the thing of the Virgo. It's like, if it's not serving a purpose, it's like, needs to help. So that's one thing. And the other thing is the healing arts. Why are Virgos the healers as well? Because Virgo rules health, the body. It rules the nervous system as well. And the body. Again, from the first day you take your first breath and your heart is beating, this machine needs maintenance. And the Virgo archetype makes sure this machine gets maintained the best way possible. That's why we talk about health. It rules the health, because what are the best things we could put in the body? How could we better maintain the body? What are the daily practices to do every single day so that this body keeps it at its optimum function? So when we see people with a lot of Virgo energy, usually you'll find them in the healing professions, because they need to fix or bring back to balance that has gone out of balance because of excesses or lack of care. So that's a very important part of the Virgo archetype. This is why we see all the healers. Lots of very big Virgo people could be, accountants, nurses, even engineers, like people that have a lot of structural organizational skills or health-oriented, ideals. Yeah, so that's like the basics of how the energy functions, the Virgo. So Dulcie, would you like to now go into what words would better describe the best way this energy is expressed, which is the higher octave? And like I said, an octave is just a part of the expression. I also forgot to say that, the tools, the craftsman and the perfectionism of Virgo comes, well, I'll tell an anecdote later, but it's also the craftsman, right? A Virgo person usually has a skill or lots of skills that are very practical. They work very easily with making things that function and put them into, use the hands, and even though that's it's a Mercury function, is the voice, but also the hands, because that's how you create and do, and it's done. Dulcie, so some words of the positive expressions of the Virgo energy. Okay, so you were saying.
So practical, industrious, analytical, organized, and good at finding and fixing problems.
Those are awesome. I will add to these humble, grounded, realistic, a perfectionist. And perfectionist does have a little it's good to be perfectionist in the sense that you will always want to improve something. However, when we see the negative traits, being perfectionist to a fault, basically neurotic, is going to be the downside of that. But being perfectionist for me is a positive trait, because that means you'll force yourself to not ever be mediocre, to get a job done properly, and that for me is a positive trait. Hardworking. Oh, there goes the chug. The chugs, little squirrel. You said organized. A skillful. Again, Virgos will have skills and hone the skills and perfect the skill. The craftsman, right? Competent. Yay, bring a Virgo into your work team. You'll make it better. And a frugal. It's interesting because the frugal aspect, really Virgos don't need much. A Virgo just really, to be fulfilled, needs to be of service. And usually if it's not practical, like, get it out of my sight. For this matter, I'm going to show you my living room full of things. The living room. Oh, a broom. You see, this is like, so Virgo. We could live in such frugal conditions. It's not about huge things. It's really about things working. properly.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my positive traits. And some nouns associated with it would be the servant. That's a very good archetype, the servant. The fixer, we'll go fix anything. The craftsperson, and the improver. Yay. So we'll go into anecdotes later. So the negative traits or shadow side of Virgo, Dulcie, what do you have?
So I have reserved or shy, nervous, anxious, and restless, like needing to be doing something productive, and critical or hypercritical. I see only the faults right now, only the problems.
I have a judgmental. Oh my God, yes. That's terrible. I know what that feels like. Judgmental because, like, it's wrong. That's not good enough. That's so much of the shadow side of Virgo, the not good enough and seeing everything as like faulty.
Mm-hmm.
Neurotic, OCD. It's a little bit to the left. No, one more millimeter to the left. No, too much. Let's chill, Virgo. Calm. Okay. Well, critical. Did you say critical?
Yeah.
Yeah, critical. Yeah, you said nervous and worrisome. Worrisome. Virgo worries a lot. It rules the nervous system, and it worries that everything's not perfect. It's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We'll fall apart. Virgo, chill, please. I put in my shadow side also coward, but it's not like in a. It's more like Virgo does not take risks. It just doesn't like to go out and blow it all. It's very calculating in that sense. So being way too practical and too calculating and too realistic can also bring out being a coward, because then you don't do anything. It's like, oh no, it's not going to work. No. It's like it could bring that a little pessimistic view of things, or like just not taking much action. That's the shadow side. Also, workaholic. OMG, the workaholic is like, stop that squirrel, please. What? And picky. Oh, picky. Yeah. It could also be like some nouns associated with this could be the martyr, because then Virgo will almost self-sacrifice, and that comes from that Pisces axis of the self-sacrifice in service, and then nobody sees me, not even to say thank you. Virgo needs to also be knowing that, okay, what you do serves, therefore it even if it has a thank you would be enough. It doesn't need big recognitions or awards, but a thank you. Virgos will really appreciate that. Could also be the fault finder, like you said. It just finds everything is wrong. It's like, hey, can you just poop more on my party, please? Like, and the hypochondriac, because of the health issue, is like, oh my gosh, I have a little thing that's not perfect in my pinky. Oh no, I'm gonna die. The pinky's not perfect. So it could be like this whole kind of something wrong with the body at all times with the health. So that would be, again, shadow side, because as much as Virgo really takes care and wants all these awesome things for the body to function well, it can also get obsessed about it. So yeah, those are my shadow side words. And now let's go into some anecdotes. Dulce, do you have any Virgo little anecdotes of Virgo people or Virgo anythings?
Yeah, just my good friend growing up. She has several planets in Virgo, and she was always the one to remember details. If I lost something or forgot what was happening next or something, I could just ask her and she'd be like, well, obviously it's this. She just remembered every single detail. So incredibly helpful for those kind of things. And yeah, she's just incredibly organized, is a nurse, and
Duh.
expresses that organized and but kind Virgo energy.
I have to say something. Okay, now my anecdotes are really come from me because I have so much Virgo in my chart. I have like 3 planets on the North Node, so it's for, of course, evolutionary astrology takes into account the North Node, so it's a lot of Virgo. So I can really relate to this energy, to the workaholic energy. Oh my gosh, to the practical, to the always cleaning. That doesn't mean that Virgos are necessarily always clean. It just means that they need to have things organized. Mm-hmm. So if there's no mess to organize, then a Virgo has no purpose. So sometimes a Virgo's home goes upside down only for the Virgo to organize it again. That at least that's my experience. It's like when things go a little bit off, it's like, okay, overwhelm, and then I'll have to spend a whole day cleaning, and I have those like Virgo moments. Mm-hmm. Another little thing, the details, like and this is a thing of being a craftsman as well. I make jewelry, and this is part of my little creations. When I was working with a colleague of mine, he would make the wire wrapping and make the jewelry, and he will leave like things like kind of untied and not perfectly wrapped, and I would go like, that's not like, that's just kind of like doesn't look perfect. And then I would make an effort to make every little swirl and every wrap as perfect as I could, and it took me a really long time to do this and make it. Is the detail, right? I would work very detailed. And then he said, you know what? Most people don't ever see that. They don't even notice. I was like, how do they not notice? Like, I notice. That's before I knew astrology. Mm-hmm. It's like, I notice these things. Like, how come everybody does not notice that? Like, it makes no sense to me. Then I understood, being such a Virgo and having Mercury in Virgo, which is the ruler, which adds more of that precision, see exactly where it is, put it where it should be, made me understand that, oh yeah, I am like that. I do work with precision and perfection. However, it also taught me like, hey, not everybody's like this, so chill, Virgo. It's okay if it's not absolutely perfect. It's okay, because that is definitely the shadow side, and I have suffered from these anxieties, especially in my work. If things are not done properly, it's like, well, this is the person who's going to have it, they might not like it as much because it's not perfect. Or if I can spend many hours editing these videos just because I want the little Giphy to be perfectly put, and sometimes it's like, it's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, it can be just it's okay. So even I have to remind myself to not be such a perfectionist, and that's okay. That's where you're like more balanced. And the last thing is the being humble. Oh my gosh, okay, here we go. This is the hard one for me. Virgo people, as much as most of them are really humble, depends what you have in your chart, of course. I have had to come really face to face with this lesson of humility many times in my life, because when I was doing things more to just be seen or acknowledged, and not because it served the greater good or a purpose, smack. I would always get a smack from life. And I was like, but why? And now understanding, since I began doing astrology, is like, oh my gosh, now I see that every time I do something that is like, it's teaching somebody something, it helps someone to get better. Or even when I do a chart reading and somebody tells me, oh my gosh, this helped me so much. Wow, there's like this, it's just that sense of fulfillment. And this, if you are a Virgo, oh my gosh, probably can relate. So, Dulcie, is there anything else you want to add before we close?
No, yeah, not from my personal experience with Virgo. I don't have a lot of strong Virgo energy. But I definitely do see it in others and in, in media, and almost wish I had some of that organizational ability.
Well, that's why you have me, Dulcie.
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of attract Virgos and, hold on
You
to
have you have the big visions. You have the bringing people together, and someone needs to organize all that. Someone needs to do the dirty work behind the scenes. That's me, the one doing the dirty work. I'm kidding. So, yeah, so with this being said, beautiful people, if you are a Virgo, if you have Virgo rising, sun, moon, or a stellium of planets, stellium meaning lots of them, and bullet point Virgo, if you have any of that, we would love to hear from you and in the comments, like what your experience is to be a Virgo or to have Virgo planets or Virgo people in your life. And I think it's because it's me. I have come to love this energy. It can be nasty at times, especially when you're picky and people are like, okay, let's drop it, but I have come to love this energy. It's very nice to be a Virgo. Could be tough for people who are messy. If you're a very messy person, either you hire a Virgo to clear the mess or don't live with them. It will be just a source of trouble, and so yeah. Or learn from the Virgos to be more clean and more better. Yeah, we do make things better. Virgos make the world better. What can I say? So anyway, with this being said, I will have these images in beautiful products as well. This is the part where I do a little infomercial coming up, and we'll have a link below so you can find these images in some products that will be coming up soon. It's not ready yet, lots of work. And but if you like these images that I have created and you want to have yours to remind you of that beautiful energy, then just go down into the links and check it out. And with this being said, Dulcie, are we closing, wrapping it up? Ready? Okay, guys, see you very soon next time with Libra. Bye-bye. 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 Dulcie, it's not perfect. Can we do all the video again?
Oh, no.